I love cathedrals and I love architecture, to be honest, but cathedrals specifically were just so beautiful. And I loved learning about them in school and learning how long they took and the vision of these artisans that would come together to build this massive and beautiful building. And I used to, as a kid, I would draw a lot of architecture because I just thought it was so cool and it looked beautiful and it inspired me because this building was just so meticulously created. And it's not just cathedrals. Cathedrals are beautiful, and that's what comes to mind, with the stained glass windows and the beautiful arches and the beautiful domes in a lot of them. And just the ceilings are incredibly artistic and beautiful, and the way that the light comes through and shines, it really is impressive and inspiring. But it's not just cathedrals, it's all buildings. If you think about it, the amount of effort people put into buildings in general, there are so many just these creations throughout our earth that people will travel across continents to look at. You think about it, people will plan entire trips around proposing at the Eiffel Tower. And the Eiffel Tower was just this really cool piece of art, essentially. I mean, people will go to the Statue of Liberty, which is basically an artistic building of sorts. People will go to the Taj Mahal. I mean, this incredibly unique building that is just created. And if you look at it as a cathedral, it's kind of a cathedral as well. And I remember growing up just thinking, how incredible is it that somebody could have the vision to design it and then build it, to see it through, because it would take years and years of people just working and laying brick by brick by brick and sculpting and focusing on each arch and each pillar and all the detail. You think of the Colosseum in Rome, it's just the detail and the beauty of it is incredible. And somebody was able to see it through over years and years of work that they put into these buildings. It makes me think about, I think about this stuff a lot because I bring up my future a lot and how I view my future, how I view my present, and how I view myself. And I remember there were different moments in my life where I looked up to certain people. You know how you have like 99% of the people are like really good influences. They encourage you, follow your dreams, focus on your passions, put in the time, put in the effort, really work on it and develop whatever you want to do and you'll be successful, right? We have a lot of people, but then there's always like a small percentage of people that you look up to. And I had these people where I looked up to them. But they did not exactly fill you with that confidence. They filled you with, it is what it is, right? You might not. It is what it is. That phrase, it irks me because I remember hearing it by a couple different people in my life, but specifically a couple influential people in my life. And as I've grown older, I realized they didn't view themselves as influential to me. That's how I viewed them. So they didn't care what they said to me, and they would just say whatever. They didn't realize that it was really sinking into my soul and impacting the way I viewed my present and the way I viewed my future. And so whenever I heard it is what it is, I felt like it was just abdicating this responsibility and ability to change what it could be. They'd say things like, yeah, might happen. Good luck. And when I look back, it's not that was the worst thing in the world, and they may have meant something by it. They may not have meant anything by it, but to me, as a younger, teen or a young adult, I took that as, oh, well, maybe hard work isn't going to pay off, or maybe they don't think that I have what it takes, or maybe I don't actually have what it takes. And it would impact me. And I remember there was a specific time, I was 27. And there was somebody, I ran into a friend and he was like, hey, come to this event. It's going to be really cool. And I was just about to go back to school for sports broadcasting. I was really passionate about it, really excited. I put a lot of effort and I had already started developing that radio voice and the chance to call play-by-play. I used to mute my TV And I would watch basketball and hockey and baseball and football games, and I'd mute the TV and call play-by-play. And now batting, Bryce Harper, whatever it might have been, I would do it and practice it over and over. And so I was excited about sharing with some people. And at this event, I ran into somebody who I'd known for a long time. They were actually somebody who I kind of looked up to in the past. And I knew them, from when I was younger. And I was like, oh my gosh, like it was so cool. And they were like, well, what are you up to nowadays? And I was super excited. I was like, I want to make them proud. I'm going back to school for sports broadcasting is what I said. And I'll never forget it. He looked at me and he was like, man, good luck with that. That's going to be really tough. You really think you can like get in? Like that's going to be hard. And I just remember thinking, ow, that hurt. Like that really hurt. And I know people doubt. And of course, there's always going to be haters and things like that. And I had gotten over that, but it was because I was looking up to this person and I had looked up to this person and I expected them to be like, that's really cool. I've known you for a really long time and I've known you were athletic and that makes sense that you would want to do this. Like, this is cool. Go for it. But no, they were like, good luck with that. Like, it is what it is. And it just bothered me. And it's interesting because I want to be somebody who speaks life into you. That's why I do this podcast. I hope that I'm somebody who speaks vision, speaks the future into your life and challenges you and encourages you to do something awesome. And I remember that feeling, and I never want to give that feeling to anybody else and be lackluster. And so I just want to encourage you that you have to treat your future and you have to treat it a little bit different than the way that you treat other things. Because sometimes we'll get lackadaisical. Sometimes we'll get, in our own heads, or sometimes we'll just be ignorant to the fact that other people are chasing really hard dreams and you need to encourage them. That may be the only encouragement they hear. And when you're building your future, especially at the beginning, you're not really sure what you want or how you're going to do it. You just kind of have this vision of like what it could be. And it brings me to what I want to talk to you today about building your future, kind of like the cathedrals, right? The cool cathedrals or the cool buildings around the world, and having the vision to see what it's going to look like when it's done, and then knowing that, yeah, it's going to take a long time. Like you just know it's going to take a lot of time, effort, all that stuff. And that's one of those things about it where you just kind of have to focus on it until you get there. But you have to treat building your future kind of like building a cathedral or this beautiful piece of architecture. And every window will be stained with the memories of the people that help you along the way. And in your future, there will be people who will find peace when they're near you because of the work you put in. Others will find like a healthy challenge, and they'll be challenged by you, and it'll be encouraging when they're near you. And then there will be some people who will gain a sage-like wisdom whenever they're around you because of the time and effort you put in. But everybody that you meet will see the care that you put into each and every arch and each and every doorway that you built in your future for the people to come in and out of your life with grace and joy and excitement. And it may take a long time to build, but I promise you, it's going to be worth it. There's a really cool story, and a lot of people know the artist Michelangelo. He painted the Sistine Chapel. We're talking about really awesome cathedrals and chapels and things like that. Michelangelo, definitely one of the coolest artists I think out there. But there's this really cool story where he would go to this quarry and there was this jagged piece of rock. And it was this jagged piece of marble that kind of looked like it had been thrown away. And he would go there. And for months, he would go there and sit and stare at this piece of rock for hours upon hours each day. And people would ask him, the way the story is told is people would ask him, what are you doing? And he would say, I'm working. And he would do this over and over and over. And he would put in the time and he would put in this effort and he would just go and he would stare at this piece of rock. And well, eventually he got to this point where he transported that rock into his work area, and he started chipping away and chiseling little by little. And as time progressed, little by little, it began to take form, and eventually that piece of marble turned into the famous statue, David. And this famous statue, it's really detailed. You see the muscles and the musculature of David, and you see he's just really unique. It's beautiful and it's really powerful. But Michelangelo, he had the vision to see what others could not see in this jagged piece of rock that kind of looked like it had been thrown away. And he was able to see it, and then he put in a little bit of time and a little bit of effort every single day, and chipped away and chipped away and chipped away. And when people said, "How did you do this?" he said, "I saw David trapped in the rock. So all I did was remove what didn't belong." The saying is that good things take time. And I love that saying. It's a good saying. It keeps me patient. It keeps me grounded. But I believe that if you want great things, then you have to learn how to have vision, to see it. Even when nobody else can, you have to be able to see what can be in your future. And then you have to spend the time patiently working, chipping away at whatever doesn't belong, because you can see what possibly can be in the future, not what is in the present. That's going to do it for this conversation. I really hope that each and every one of you have a wonderful rest of your week. I appreciate each and every one of you. Remember to give grace, show love, and as always, stay stellar. Peace.